You have been worried about yourself lately. I know, because of what you have been noticing. The tears that come easier than they ever did, sometimes over nothing. A song, a commercial, a bird on the fence. The way you have pulled back from gatherings you used to force yourself through. The old interests that quietly fell from your hands. The strange tiredness after being around certain people. The way you can sit alone now for a whole afternoon, doing what looks, from the outside, like nothing. And you have been reading these changes with the only dictionary the modern world gave you, and that dictionary says decline. It says falling apart. It says something is wrong with me. I am not who I was. I am coming undone, and maybe someone in your family has said it too, with worried eyes. Mom seems different. Dad's not himself lately. Tonight I am going to hand you a different dictionary, the old one. Because my people watched human beings move through loss and change for 1,000 generations, without the modern words, and they saw something the modern world has entirely forgotten how to see. They saw that healing and breaking can look identical from the outside. Identical. The same tears, the same withdrawal, the same shedding, the same stillness. A person coming apart and a person coming together move through some of the very same rooms, and the elder's job, one of their oldest jobs, was to sit with a person in those rooms and tell them which journey they were actually on. So that is my job tonight. I am going to give you 5 signs, 5 marks the old ones read, that separate the healing from the breaking. And I will tell you before we begin what I believe you will find, because I have been watching this audience a long time now. Most of you are not falling apart, my friend. Most of you are further along in your healing than you have ever been given credit for, and you have been grieving a collapse that was actually a mending. Let us find out. The first sign you are healing and not falling apart is that you cry more easily than you used to. I put this one first because it is the one that frightens people most. And it is the one the old people read exactly backward from how your family reads it. You were, many of you, a fortress for decades. You did not cry at the funerals, someone had to hold the others. You did not cry in the hard years, there was no time. There were children, there were jobs, there was survival. You packed the tears the way a soldier packs a wound on a battlefield, tight, fast, no ceremony, keep moving. And you kept moving for 40 years, and now, in these quieter years, the tears arrive at strange moments, unbidden, over small beauty and small sorrow alike, and you have wondered if you are becoming fragile. Hear the old reading, "Frozen ground cannot weep." That is my grandmother's sentence, and I give it to you exactly as she gave it. Frozen ground cannot weep, grandson. Only thawing ground runs with water. When the ground was frozen solid in the survival years, nothing came out of it, not tears, not much of anything, and everyone praised the frozen ones for being so strong. But frozen is not strong, frozen is paused. And now, at last, in the safety of these slower years, the ground of you has judged correctly that it can finally afford to thaw. The tears that come now are not new damage. They are old winters leaving. Every strange little weeping at the song, at the sunset, at the memory, is a packed wound from 1968 or 1985 or 2003 finally getting the ceremony it was denied. You are not becoming fragile. You are becoming spring. And spring, hear me, always looks messier than winter. Winter is tidy. Everything alive is untidy. The question was never, why are you crying now? The question was always, how did you hold it this long? I sat with a widow once who taught me how badly the modern dictionary fails people here, and I want you to have her story. Her husband had been gone 2 years, and her children had brought her to the community, worried because they said she was getting worse. Getting worse, they said, because in the first year she had been remarkable, their word, remarkable, back on her feet in weeks, busy, organized, hosting the holidays, never a public tear. And now, in the second year, The tears had started, at small things, and she had gone quieter and slower, and the children read the sequence the only way their dictionary allowed. She was fine, and now she is breaking. Grief is winning. Something is wrong. And I sat with this woman, and I asked her one question. I asked, the busy year, the remarkable year, where were you? And her eyes filled, and she said, nowhere. I was nowhere. I was running the house of my life with nobody home in it. And I asked, and now, where are you now, in the crying season? And she sat with that a long time, and then she said the sentence I have carried ever since. She said, now I am home. It hurts, and I am home. Hear the whole teaching inside that. The remarkable year was the frozen year. The performance of wellness that everyone praised was the ground holding solid because the loss was too large to thaw all at once, and the body in its wisdom kept her frozen and functional until she could afford the melting. The tearful year was the healing year. The children had the sequence exactly backward. Worse was better, breaking was mending, and their worried eyes were aimed at the very evidence of her recovery. Nobody was at fault. They only had the one dictionary. You have both dictionaries now. When the tears come easier in your house, in yourself or in someone you love, before you reach for the word worse, ask the old question first. Is this the breaking? Or is somebody at last coming home? Before I share the next teaching, I need to tell you something. I am not going to be here forever, and most of what I know was never written anywhere. So I sat down and I wrote it, all of it. 20 teachings, 4 parts, in the order they were meant to be received. The ones about the thaw and the mending seasons. The ones about telling healing from breaking in yourself and the people you love. The ones I have never said on camera. It is called The Native Way, and it costs less than one dinner you will not remember. Scan the code on your screen or look in the comments, but do not leave yet, because the next sign is the one your family is most worried about, the pulling away. And when I give you the old reading of it, you are going to stop apologizing for something you should have been honored for. The second sign you are healing is that you have less tolerance for what drains you, and you have started stepping back from it. The gatherings that leave you empty, the certain relatives, the noise, the small talk, the obligations you performed for decades. You have been declining more, leaving earlier, choosing your own porch over rooms you used to force yourself into, and the family dictionary calls this isolating, withdrawing, concerning. Now hear the old dictionary. A healing body does the exact same thing. Ask any healer who ever tended a wound. The body in repair pulls its resources inward. It has no strength to spare for the unnecessary, so it becomes, for a season, ruthlessly honest about what is necessary. And the spirit heals the same way. This is the law the old people knew. What is true of the body is true of the spirit. A spirit in real repair suddenly cannot afford what it used to afford. The draining people. It could once absorb them, now it cannot, and it stops pretending it can. The empty performances. It once ran them on surplus energy. The surplus is now assigned to the mending, so the performances stop. What your family is reading as you shrinking is, in the old reading, triage, the wise allocation of a healing system. And here is how you tell it from the true isolation, the dangerous kind, because there is a dangerous kind, and I will not pretend otherwise. The breaking person pulls away from everything, the draining and the feeding alike, the fools and the beloved faces, all of it. The door closes entirely. The healing person pulls away selectively. Watch yourself and see. The draining ones, declined. But the one true friend, still welcome. The grandchild's visit, still wanted, maybe wanted more than ever. The quiet coffee with the right person, still the best hour of your week. If your door still opens for what feeds you and is merely closed for what feeds on you, that is not isolation, my friend. That is a gate, finally installed, after 70 years of your life standing wide open to all traffic. Healing builds gates. Breaking builds walls. Know which one you built, and stop apologizing for the gate. The third sign you are healing is that old interests have fallen away, and nothing has replaced them yet. This is the emptiness that worries you, the hobbies gone quiet, the passions that no longer pull, the shelf inside that seems bare when people ask what you enjoy. And you have read it as more evidence of decline, the fading of the person you were. The old people read it as the fallow field. Every farmer of the old ways knew, and the wisest still know, that a field must sometimes be left empty on purpose, not abandoned. Fallow. After years of producing, the ground is depleted, and the worst thing you can do is force another crop into it, and the best thing you can do is let it lie bare, through what looks to an ignorant eye like a wasted season, while underneath, invisible, the soil rebuilds everything the producing years took out of it. You have been producing for 50, 60 years. Crops on crops, career, children, caretaking, obligations, roles, and the interests that fell from your hands lately. Look at them honestly. Many were crops planted for other people anyway, or crops planted by a younger farmer with different soil. The bare feeling in you right now is not the death of the field. It is the rest between plantings, and the proof is in a thing you may have already noticed but not trusted. Strange, small curiosities poking up, an interest that makes no sense, a pull toward something you never cared about before, the birds, the painting, the old music, the history of some place, faint green shoots in ground you thought was finished. The breaking person's field grows nothing, not even weeds, the wanting itself is gone, and I taught you about that in the Tired Soul teaching. But your field, check it tonight. Your field has shoots, odd ones, small ones you have been dismissing because they do not match the old crops. Do not dismiss them. They are the next planting introducing itself. The fallow season is ending exactly on schedule, and it was never emptiness. It was preparation. The fourth sign you are healing is that you are telling the truth more than you used to, even when your voice shakes. It has been happening, has it not? The things you are saying lately that the old you would have swallowed. The small honest sentences to the family, actually, I would rather not. That hurt me when you said that. No, I have changed my mind. The opinions you no longer hide, the preferences you no longer disguise, the polite lies that have become almost physically harder to tell, and because the truth-telling sometimes ruffles the family waters, and because the old you kept everything smooth, you have wondered whether you are becoming difficult in your age, whether the filter is failing. Hear the old reading. The filter is not failing. The wound is closing. Understand what the swallowing ever was. A person swallows their truth for one reason only, because somewhere they learned that their truth costs them love, that honesty is dangerous, that smoothness is survival. Swallowing is a wound behavior, learned at some old table, kept for a lifetime. And a person who begins at 65, at 75, to say the true thing in a steady voice, is not decaying. They are healing from the oldest injury they have, the one that taught them their real voice was not safe. My grandmother said the truth arrives in a person like feeling returning to a numb limb. It tingles, it is uncomfortable, it can even hurt, and it is the surest sign of life coming back. So when the true sentence rises in you now and insists on being said, when you feel that new steel in your spine at the family table, do not mistake it for hardness. It is sensation returning to a part of you that went numb at some table 60 years ago so that the child you were could stay safe. That child is finally safe now, and she is speaking. Let her. And to those whose families are struggling with the new voice, one gentle word. Some of the people around you preferred the swallowing. Not from cruelty mostly, but because your silence was comfortable furniture in their lives, and furniture that starts speaking unsettles a household. Expect a season of adjustment. Expect to hear that you have changed, and when you hear it, do not argue, simply agree. Say, yes, I have, thank you for noticing, because you have changed in the direction of true, and the ones who love the actual you will recalibrate and love the truer one more, and they will tell you so in time. The adjustment season passes. The voice stays. Keep the voice. And the fifth sign, the deepest one, is that you can be alone with yourself now, and something in the room has changed. Once, being alone was a problem to solve. The silence needed filling, the television, the radio, the busyness. I have taught you why. The room of silence had visitors in it you were not ready to receive. But lately and quietly, and you may only notice it now as I say it, the alone hours have changed their temperature. The afternoon on the porch that used to feel empty now feels on some days almost full. Sitting with your coffee and your thoughts has stopped being a waiting room and started being, on good days, a visit. You have caught yourself content in a silence that once would have driven your hand to the remote, and it happened so gradually you never marked the day. Mark it now. Hear what the old people would say about that change, because it is the crowning sign. They would say the war inside you is ending. A person cannot rest in their own company while the company is at war, while the regrets are prosecuting, the past is arguing, the unfelt things are pounding on doors. The person who flees silence is fleeing the noise of their own unfinished business. And the person who can finally sit in the quiet, alone, and find it peaceful, has finished business. Not all of it, nobody finishes all of it, but enough. Enough of the visitors have been received, enough of the winters have thawed and run off, enough of the truth has been spoken, that the inner rooms have gone quiet, and what remains in them, at last, is a person you can sit with. The breaking person cannot be alone because they are trapped with their pain. The healed and healing person seeks a little solitude because they have finally become good company to themselves. If your own porch, your own kitchen, your own quiet company has grown kinder to you these past years, then hear me clearly. That is not you giving up on the world. That is the surest sign in all the old teachings that the mending has gone deep, and it is the one sign that cannot be faked, because you cannot fake peace to the one person who was in the war. So there are the 5. The easier tears, the closing gate, the fallow field, the returning voice, and the peaceful solitude. Count them in yourself honestly. And now hear the ending I promised, because I know some of you have been standing in the middle of these changes, frightened, apologized to your families for them, maybe even sat in a doctor's office trying to describe them, and there is a place for doctors, hear me and honor them, and go when you need them. But for many of you, what has been happening in you these last years needed a different kind of reading, the old kind, and now you have it. You were never falling apart. You were coming apart the way a seed comes apart, which is the only way anything on this earth has ever grown. The shell cracks, the old shape fails, everything that held the old form softens and lets go, and to an ignorant eye, and to the frightened seed itself, it looks exactly like destruction, and it is the opposite of destruction. It is the one process the Creator trusts enough to run the entire world on. So go easy on yourself, my friend. Stop grieving your own springtime. Tell your worried family gently in your new steady voice, I am not falling apart. I am turning into whoever I was always supposed to be at the end, and it was never going to be tidy, and I am all right. And then go sit in your good silence, on your own porch, in your own fine company, and let the mending finish its work. It knows what it is doing. It has known all along. If what you heard today stayed with you, the book is there, The Native Way. 20 teachings, 100 pages, written the way I would speak to you if we were sitting together. Scan the QR code on the screen with your phone or find the link in the comments. Read one chapter. Sit with it. Now I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, which of the 5 signs did you recognize in yourself, and how long have you been calling it falling apart? I read every comment. And if this is the kind of conversation you have been looking for, subscribe to this channel. We are not collecting viewers here. We are collecting people who remember. Come back next week. I am not done teaching yet.